This is the Young and Growing Podcast with Isaiah Gunther.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Young and Growing. I am your host, Isaiah Gunther, and today we have the most lovely human being I've ever encountered in my entire life. I may be a little biased because I don't want to be in the doghouse later. No, this is going to be a special podcast today. I've got Katelyn Ferguson, my future wife, in the building. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. We're just trying to figure this out in here.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's going to be so weird, I feel like, talking to you in a professional way.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to go. No, I think it's going to be awesome. So I originally wanted you to be on here because we have a lot of different people on here, but nobody can give a female, I guess, point of view when it comes to just a straight grind and hustle mentality like you can, I think. And again, I guess it's because I'm, here every day. I get to see what you go through, but I think it's important for anybody who's about to come up and go through what you're going through, which is going to be a lot of people, to really know what it takes to get to where you really are and what you're about to do.
Yeah.
And so first, we definitely got to start with, you're about to go into your senior year of nursing school, BSN.
Yep.
At Wright State.
Almost finished.
Almost there. We're almost there. This next year is going to be a little crazy.
Yep. But
we're going to see, we're going to get there. So let's talk about first, what was something different, what's been different that you didn't expect, from your freshman year? What kind of threw you off going into it?
So definitely whenever I started college at Wright State, I did not know how to really study, to be honest.
That's so hard to believe.
Yep.
Honestly.
I was a good student in high school. Like, I got straight A's all the time, but I didn't have to work hard to do it, honestly. It just kind of came pretty easy to me. Everything except math. I had to practice math, but I thought that was studying, just like repeating a bunch of different problems over and over, because that's really the only studying I had to do in high school. Well, then I got to my first classes my freshman year, and they knocked me on my butt. I was definitely shocked at how difficult everything was going to be and how fast everything was going to be. Especially, like, I had a cells and genes biology class.
Oh.
And that is the one that really killed me my freshman year. I hated the class. I didn't like anything about it. And I know I'm going to be a nurse, and I hated biology, but I hated everything about that class. And I didn't want to go to class. And it's so easy not to go to class in college. Like, nobody tells you that until you get there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not in high school. You have, like, your parents there telling you, like, no, you need to go to class. But when you have that 8 a.m. in college and you don't want to get out of bed, you don't have to get out of bed.
You don't, not even a little bit.
Especially when they don't require attendance. So I didn't want to go to that class, and I finally, my grades started dropping in that class, and I had to really get it together to be able to pass. And I did pass. I passed that class, and I passed all my classes my freshman year, but it was definitely a shock coming into college and realizing that I had no idea how to study.
That is, and it's so crazy. Whenever you were saying that, I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to study? Like, you always have gotten good grades.
Yeah.
Do the same thing you've been doing before. And you were like, what do you mean?
I know. I wasn't doing anything before. I could listen in class and pick up on it pretty easy in high school. And I think that was because there's so many less people, too. And it's such a, like, your teachers, and of course our high school's super small. Your teachers were, like, right there with you, could explain everything to you that you didn't understand.
Yep.
And it's just not that way in college, especially when you go to Wright State is a huge university, but it's bigger. I had 90 some students in every class. So, yeah.
That's crazy. So let's kind of go back and visit the story of, what made you become a nurse in the first place, because I think that's where, and we'll kind of get to in a minute, but I think that's where, why you're thriving so much.
Yeah.
So, let's go into that.
So when I was I think I was in 7th grade, my cousin Beth Ann was 5 years old, and she was diagnosed with leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge shock to everybody. It kind of threw our whole world for a loop. And throughout her 2 years of going through chemo and all that good stuff, I kind of got to witness a lot of that and witness like her doctors and her nurses and everybody taking care of her. And when she first was diagnosed, she had to be transported to Nationwide Children's in Columbus.
Mm-hmm. And
I got to go visit her that weekend after they had kind of figured out what was going on for sure and everything. I went and visited her. And I got to witness all of the, like, just how great that hospital is. It's a wonderful hospital. Literally, you hear the stories about, like, kids riding bikes and stuff through the hallways. They really do, because they try to make it feel like such a homey environment for these kids who are in the hospital a lot of the time.
Right.
So I kind of got to witness that. And at first I decided I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an pediatric oncology doctor.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of watched a little bit more through the 2 years, like Beth was doing chemo and stuff. And I realized that while their doctors are wonderful and they do everything that they possibly can for their patients, they don't have as much time and one-on-one, like, care with the patients.
Mm.
They kind of do a treatment plan as opposed to actually implementing that care.
Yeah.
So when Beth was back at Cabell Huntington Hospital, she was being treated there, and her nurses were just so great. I got to see them, like, especially her last chemo treatment we went,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to see how well they interacted with the patients, and that they really were the people who were one-on-one providing that care.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I wanted to be a nurse and decided that I wanted to go into pediatric oncology eventually once I get there, and I really think that that's where I'll end up.
I mean, and I won't even doubt it even a little bit. I 100% agree with that. And it's just been so crazy because I've never been the person who, like, I always, played sports and, I got good grades, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And to be honest, I mean, like, in 10 years, you still know what you want to do. And I have no idea, where I might be in 10 years. And I just think it's so, some people have it, some people don't. But I think that's what makes you you. And I think that's what, holds you down, when times get tough.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I wanted to almost talk about that. But, how important is it to, have a passionate reason like that, or what I call like the why behind, pursuing a journey like that?
So, I mean, if you don't have a reason that you want to be a nurse, like if you just go into it because, I mean, a lot of people go into it because you make decent money.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you can go get, you really can get a 2-year degree for and make pretty good money as an individual.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a reason behind that, you're not going to be as passionate about your job. You're not going to love your job. And that's something that I really, really have always wanted, is to actually enjoy what I'm doing. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, if you go into a nursing career not liking what you're doing, you're going to be miserable, because you have to put yourself out there and you have to really be pretty selfless to do that kind of job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just doing it for the money, it's not enough to keep you in that career for your whole life.
I think that is 100% true. And I mean, not saying that, of course we don't have to, go out and tell stories about, certain people, but, as we're going to kind of transition in, you've been able to witness, two different types of, nurses in the field now. And you've been able to be like, okay, now there are some people that I strive to be like, and there are some people that are missing that, core drive that actually got you through, middle school, high school, now college, the freshman hard times. You had to really look back and look at that why and go, this is really, really why I want to do this.
This is what I'm going for. And I mean, I've seen already, I mean, I'm 3 years into nursing school, and I've had um, 4 or 5 clinical rotations, and I've
Mm-hmm.
already seen nurses who are just completely burnt out. And I mean, it's a common thing in the field, like getting burnt out because it's such a large workload
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't feel like it's worth it some days. So if you have that reason why you're doing it, then it makes it a lot more, it feels more worth it.
Oh my gosh. Preach. Preach. I love it. I love it. So, over the past 5 years, of being with you, we've been together for what, 5.5 years almost?
Yep.
Gosh. 100 years. Everybody's like, we're just babies now. I'm like, I don't know. Gosh, I don't
Feels
know.
like we've been here for a while.
Jeez. No, I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful. Over the past 5 years, I've been able to watch you kind of grow through. You've always had a strong leadership in my mind. One thing that I've been able to watch you transition to is being able to be strong and have, I don't even want to say it this way, but this is the only way I feel like I can say it, an abrasiveness about you,
Yeah.
right? Like you've always been able to lead, but you've had this, I don't want to lead too strong.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to push too hard on a certain person or a certain individual. And I think you've been able to learn how to control that and have been able to become such a better leader.
Yeah.
Where do you believe that leadership actually started?
So, like, originally, I think that, like, I have 2 little brothers. So, I've always been a little mother hen. I've always tried to tell them what to do, and they have always, always, always hated me for it, I think,
Yeah.
to an extent. They love me, but they hate that I tell them what to do, even to this day. But
I can I'm a bear witness to that. No.
But I definitely think it kind of started with that, especially like once my parents divorced. I think I was like kind of a constant in their life, and I kind of felt that when we were young. And so I kind of felt like I needed to be a little bit more of like a mother hen figure too.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where it originated. Like, I think I've just always kind of had that sense to be a leader because of them. But you're definitely right. When I moved up here, I got a job at a daycare. And within like maybe 2-3 months, I still felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And I felt very like, I mean, it was a good job. It was great for me. It was such a perfect fit for me. But I still felt like I didn't know certain things because there's so many rules. If you know the daycare industry, like there are so many rules and so
Right.
many regulations for daycares. But within 2 months, they had asked me to be an evening manager.
Yep.
And I was completely thrown off because I still felt like I didn't know what I was doing, but I accepted it because how could I not at that
Right.
point?
Absolutely.
And I think really I started getting a good sense of being a leader in that position because I was 18 and they asked me to be an evening manager. So I was in charge of shutting the whole daycare down, making sure everything got done. And that entails a lot. Like, you have to clean the whole place. You have to make sure everybody, like, I was in charge of everybody there. So at that point, I really did have to kind of get that abrasive side, like you said, because it's a lot of people who were older than me at the time that worked with me. And I had to make sure that they were doing things right so that the kids weren't hurt or the kids weren't, like, overlooked. Things that they were doing were, like, still within our guidelines. So I think that's really where it originated, that I had to kind of get that side to me because I had to kind of be able to go in and be like, listen, you need to be watching the kids, not being on your phone and stuff like that. And that was super out of my comfort zone.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. So let's kind of stay on that train, right? Because you as you grew and got that leadership, you started going towards reaching out, and as you had a job. Let's talk about this for a second, right? You had one job already during nursing school, which is tough.
Yeah.
Right? It's tough. But then we were talking, and you were actually doing research, and I'll kind of let you tell the story, but you were doing research and found out that there was a job available, and you started to think about it, and you went for it, and it probably was the most beneficial part of, in my eyes, your college career.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want you to kind of tell that story a little bit. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, so I was working at the daycare. I was still an evening manager, but I was starting to actually get into like my nursing classes at this point, and I wanted to learn more. Like, I loved that I was at a daycare because I love kids. That's what I want to work with. Like, they're definitely my line of work, but I needed to get into like the nursing field a little bit more, I felt like, because I wasn't like progressing there other than in school. So I looked into, there's a hospital up here, Dayton Children's. I looked into that because I knew that they could have positions available for me. So I looked there, and they have a position called a patient care assistant. And for my nursing program, I had to get my nurse's aide certification. So I had already gotten that, and I started applying to Dayton Children's to a bunch of patient care assistant positions. And I probably applied for 20 positions, and I got so many emails saying that they didn't pick me, right? Like, but I had to have like persistence in that because it was really where I wanted to be.
Yes.
And
yes.
So I mean, I think I started applying in like January, and I mean, I got so many emails, and finally I got a call when I was at the daycare one day. I got a call and missed it, and they left a voicemail and wanting to set up an interview with me for Dayton Children's. And so I stepped out and I called them back. And I didn't even know at the time which position it was because I had applied for so many of them that I would just ask, is it a part-time or full-time position? And she said it would be part-time. And I was like, yep, let's set up the interview. Like,
yes.
let's do it. So
I love it.
I interviewed, and in October I received my job offer for there. So I'm working at the urgent care for Dayton Children's up here in Huber Heights.
Oh my gosh. I hope people see. This is why I'm telling you. This is why it's a forever thing. I mean, Katelyn, it's so important for people to understand the word persistence that you said right there.
Yeah.
True leaders and truly people that are successful in life never fail to understand that concept of consistency and being persistent.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you applied and continued to apply only because you thought that it was going to get you better.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to understand that it's not like we were sitting down and saying, hey, you got to get another job because we can't afford bills.
No.
Right? Like, you were literally going out of your way and saying, I'm going to put more time on the books and money that we didn't necessarily need, but for you to actually go and get that experience.
I knew it was going to be a great learning opportunity for me.
And so as we were going through, right, you were applying, you finally got that call.
Mm-hmm.
And you finally got that interview.
Mm-hmm.
And what was so crazy to me was when you got it, we started talking about the interview and started talking about, what should we say? What should we do? And you had no idea. This is the best part. You had no idea that this place wasn't even open yet.
Yeah, that's very true.
This place wasn't even a real urgent care.
Not yet.
So you were actually taking an interview to a job that wasn't even actually open.
Yep. So I went to this interview because, like I said, I didn't even know which position I was interviewing for at this point because I had applied for so many of them. So I go to the interview, and it's with my now boss. And there's like 3 people that are interviewing me. And I asked in the interview, like, so which unit is this on? Because I had no clue. And she was like, oh, well, it's for our Huber Heights urgent care. It was October, I think, when I interviewed. And she was like, we're hoping to open it in the next couple weeks. So I had no clue that this had not even been opened yet. Because I was asking about like the culture and the environment and everything. And that was a really cool thing for me because I got to be a part of this whole urgent care opening. And like me and my coworkers, who I just love, we got to kind of set the culture for this whole place. Like, we got to start from scratch and have our own culture that we kind of developed ourselves. And I think that was a really, really cool part of the whole process, was that I got to be part of the opening, and now it's been almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years of the opening in December, and I'm still there. So.
Oh my gosh. And the team there, they've just been so amazing. It's great whenever you come home from a long day, and it's been a long day because it's been busy, not because you dislike the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you look forward to weekends when you got the team together, and it's just it's awesome. And that's it played a huge part in us getting engaged. That's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to have it there, because they've played such a huge part in your college career, whether they know it or not. But to have them be a part of something like that, it's you've opened up there. And I really wanted it to be there. So that just it influenced me that much.
Yeah.
So you're in nursing school. You've got one job at Kids Watch. Then you took on another job. So now you got 2 jobs. And to be completely honest, to pay the bills, you didn't need either one of them. Really, we could have made it, we could have been making it by with you just going to nursing school.
Yeah.
And so it's so great to see that work ethic, and to have somebody like that, next to you with that work ethic, because that is just something that, drives me every single day.
Yeah.
Where do you think you got that work ethic from?
Ooh, I mean, I have a lot of people in my family who are just work extremely hard. Like my parents, my whole life, I have seen them. I mean, we never had like a ton of money or anything, but I mean, my dad has always worked extremely, extremely hard. My mom, even when she couldn't find like a teaching job, because they're kind of few and far between back at home, I remember her working midnights at a gas station. Like, she worked at the hospital as like a receptionist for a little while. They always like made it work. You know what I mean? They always got us there. So them, and then I mean, all the women in my family have always worked hard. Like my mama, my nanny worked in a factory. My mama was a teacher. All my mama's sisters pretty much are teachers. Like, I've grown up seeing everybody work. So, I mean, I got a job when I was 16 at Justice and in the Ashland Mall. And since then, I've never had a desire to not work. You know what I mean? I just, like, Jessie, my boss at Justice, she is an extremely hard worker too. And I think she really, like, influenced me, especially when I was young, and when I first got that job at Justice as well, starting on Thanksgiving. That was threw me right in the mix.
Starting on Black Friday.
Yep.
That was something. Holy cow. And I can't tell you how much that's impacted me. Not only, I mean, of course I'm a hard worker. Of course I've always, worked hard.
Yeah.
But on the days when I don't want to get up, on the nights when I don't want to go out and hustle for that extra, 2 hours.
Yep.
It plays such a huge part, because in the back of my mind, it's like a code of ethics that we have, right? It's like we don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't really say, oh, go work hard, and I'll go work hard. It's more like we just have that mentality that we kind of expect each other to do it. And I think it's because, in all honesty, it's rooted to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of hardworking people in my life that's influenced me, but man, in the days, I'm telling you, I've leaned on just thinking, holy cow, she's going to nursing school and has 2 jobs. Get up. What are you thinking? Like, don't make an excuse to go not to get something done, because you've got every excuse, and I have 2 jobs right now. So it's just been huge to me. It's great, but I think what's really made you makes everybody who they are is what obstacles they have to go through during a journey. And I think this was a question that I had to really write this one down, because I don't ask you this, and I think I should. But what is, one of the biggest obstacles you've had so far that you've really had to overcome and be like, whew, like, because of this obstacle, this has really defined me who I am? I may already know it, but I don't think I've ever really asked you that.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I already talked about, like, studying. Like, that was probably the biggest obstacle that I've hit up here, just because I had no clue how to do that. And I really had to teach myself how to study. And there's nobody that teaches you how to do that. But I think another, like, big obstacle kind of right up there with that is when I moved up here, the only person I knew was you. So, I mean, I had some friends from high school that went to Wright State as well, but they were going for completely different things. So I never saw them. Our schedules never lined up.
Right. And
we all had jobs too. So I think that was a huge one when I moved up here was I didn't know anybody in any of my classes, which was, I mean, that's completely different from our Coal Grove High School. You know everybody. So
yeah.
I moved up here and I didn't know anybody, and I think I really struggled with that in the beginning, like not knowing anybody and not being able to like make friends easily because I mean I'm a friendly person, but I'm not an outgoing person at first. Like I'm not the kind of person that's going to approach and like try to make friends with somebody usually.
Right.
But when I was a freshman, I really think that my friend Kelson really like kind of saved me.
Played a huge part.
Oh yeah, she played a huge part because we had an English class together my freshman year, and our first day of my English class, I was running late because parking at Wright State sucks. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
And I couldn't find like the building I was supposed to be in, and so I walked in. I wasn't late, but I like to be there early, and I was like there right at 2:00 or whatever time the class started. And I walked in and just went to the first seat, like on the right that was open when I walked in the door. And I sat next to Kelson. And I was like, I kind of was like flustered and like upset that I was late. And she kind of talked to me for a minute about it. And so then every day when I came into that English class, we had it like 3 times a week, I think. Every day I came in and sat next to Kelson because she was just where I sat the first day,
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of started talking a little bit more like here and there. And I don't think she's super friendly too, but she's a little bit more outgoing, I think, than I am like initially too. Mm-hmm. And she kind of talked to me a little bit more, and I wasn't sure what to think of Kelson. I wasn't sure if she really liked me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But about halfway through the year, like we exchanged phone numbers so that we could talk about, school stuff. And about halfway through the year, she had texted me and was like, "Do you want to get lunch before we go to class?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, like let's go get lunch, right?" So we met on campus and went and got lunch. And since then, we've just been really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think me and Kelson are a lot alike too. Like.
Yeah.
And she definitely like impacted me from the beginning of college because I was just lost without knowing anybody
For
here.
sure. And like, don't get me wrong, like it's cool to have me around.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about nursing school. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and at the time, Kelson wasn't in nursing either. She was undecided.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, she
true.
wasn't even in nursing yet.
Yeah.
And I think she was starting to go for like physical therapy, or not physical therapy, but sports medicine.
Yeah.
And she ended up switching to nursing too. So now we have that in common.
Yeah, it's real important to find people that, you have stuff in common with.
And that push you to be better. She is definitely like, she's very, very smart, and she's very like motivational. Like she goes after everything that she wants. And I think that really, really helps me then too.
And I preach it on here all the time.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people that really hustle.
Yes.
Because it'll you'll start becoming those types of people. I love that. So a big obstacle was really getting to know people, and you finally found that friend that really opened up and it opened up a lot of doors. Yeah. And you guys, are still great friends to this day. In fact, she's with one of my best friends.
We set her up.
We set her up. I don't know. Some days she thanks us, and some days she's like, "I'll kill those guys." Yep. We already know. We still love you, Mike. It is what it is. No, awesome. So, who's one person that really influences you to this day?
Definitely my grandma. My mama, I think, is who influences me. Both of my grandmas have been just extremely, extremely influential in my life. Like my nanny has always like worked extremely hard, and she, like I said, she worked at a factory her whole life until she literally was physically unable to anymore. And so to this day, she's super influential. And then my mama, I think has just always been, she's always been like a constant in my life, you know, so she has always influenced me and like helped me through everything. And I just think that she has had a super big influence on where I'm going. And she's always like texting me and checking in on me. And you know how she is. She's always like making sure that we're okay and motivating me whenever I feel like I want to quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I always think you act like your grandma.
I know.
I always
you say mom and mama though.
Yes,
so
yeah. And it's crazy because if in a good way, in a crazy way, both of your sides of your family are completely just different.
They're the complete opposites of each other.
Exactly. They're just completely different.
Yep.
They're both so much fun.
Oh yeah.
They're both so loving. I
definitely got lucky with both sides of my family. For
honestly, Katelyn, I got so lucky as well because don't get me wrong, my family likes to get together.
Yeah.
But
my family hangs out for hours.
They hang out and they enjoy, you know, they come together.
Yeah.
And it's completely different settings, but they're always coming together. They're always having dinner. They're always hanging around each other.
Yep.
And it's
they really keep up with like it's crazy that an extended family they really keep up with your life like just as much as like your immediate family on my on this side, both sides of my family.
So much. I feel like honestly, I have three families. I feel like I have my family, and then both of your families, both sides of your family have just been incredible. So it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to see two different types of generations, but both having the same work ethic, the same grind, the same hustle, and how it influences you even to this day.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important for the people that are going to hear this to listen, because one day we're going to be moms and dads. One day we're going to be grandparents. And for you to be 21 years old, you know, to go, the person that is still influencing me to this day is my grandmother, you know. So I think one day, you know, it's going to be us, and we're going to have to, you know, remember we're still influencing people. Yeah, definitely. So I think that's great. That's great.
Definitely.
So I gotta ask you a serious question right now.
Okay.
We got to talk about this. I just got to put you on the spot for it. You know, why don't you like Oreos?
Stop.
I'm serious because it's important, because I've over the movies that you haven't seen and over the foods that you don't like.
I don't like. I know that could have been a deal breaker with you, honestly.
It's really almost been a deal breaker. Katelyn, sometimes I just can't get over it. So we got to put this out there.
Okay, I don't like Oreos because I don't like the black cookie. And I really don't like the cream either, honestly. I think that the cookie is kind of like bitter almost, and I have never liked it. When I was young, I would like eat the cream out of the middle and stuff too, but I'm really just not a big sweets person. Like, I don't like how sweet the cream is. I get it,
but we eat chocolate chip cookies and stuff, and you're down to eat chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, but I'll eat like 4. It's not like I eat the whole sleeve like you do. You know that's how it is.
I knew this was going to backfire. I was going to ask you a question, and it was supposed to throw you off, and now you just did that to me.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's get back on track. Whatever. All right. So I read some books. I tried to read books, but then I always buy the audiobook because I have more time to listen to books than I do to sit down and read them.
Yeah.
But what is a book that, because I've watched you read multiple books, what's a book that's really, really changed your life or opened up your eyes and you know, influenced you, you know, to again be who you are today?
Yeah. So honestly, the book that first comes to mind is a book that we're reading now. The 5 Love Languages. I really, really like that book.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to know, like, even in like platonic relationships, to just know like other people's love language and be able to like love them how they need to be loved.
Absolutely.
But the very first book that I think had really made an influence on me was one that I read in high school, which is completely opposite like side of the spectrum, but And you love this book too, Staying Fat for Sarah Burns.
Ooh.
Yes, I love that book. Miss Music.
Did she get married? Is her name changed?
I don't know if she changed her name, but she did get married.
All
yeah.
right, well, we know who we're talking about.
Yes.
If she's still making kids read that book, or she's still reading the book. I hope
she is, because she was going to take it away the year that I was in high school.
She brought it to our class first, and we loved that
We weren't
going
to read that book that year, and then I brought it up and told you that, or because you had told me that was your favorite book, and I think Katie also brought it up because she had heard from somebody in your class that that was a great book. And so when I read that in high school, I always thought differently than other people in high school. I'm very, very open-minded, and I try not to judge people based off of how they think or how they feel about certain things. And that book kind of shows you that there is a situation for there's a reason for everything that people are doing. You know what I mean? And I think that that book really opened my mind even more. And I think that book really kind of opened the mind of some of the people that I went to school with too.
Yes.
And it's a super short book. It's like a 5th grade level book, I think, but it is so good. And if you have the chance to read it, definitely do, because it sounds super, super cheesy and you don't know where it's going in the beginning, but it turns out to be one of the best books I've ever read, for sure.
It's the life lesson.
Yeah.
It's like the movie that we were watching, Freedom Riders, right?
Yes, Freedom Riders is so good.
Those people, the kids, they had no idea that the Holocaust even existed.
Yeah, because they had bigger things going on.
Exactly. And it's to think, right, that we look at certain things and we think we know what's going on.
Yeah.
And in reality, there's a whole backstory, a
Yeah.
whole something that, what's causing that to happen is...
It's way further, way more deep than we know.
Way deeper. Yeah. And it's real easy to judge what's on the surface.
Yep.
And to be honest, we've all been in that point where we've been walking around upset, or we've been walking around blaming something because something happened and caused some discomfort to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, that's a great, great book, especially, and I'm going to say this, as good as I can, from where we come from.
Yeah, for sure.
Such a small town that doesn't get a chance to get out and
exposed to a lot.
Expose themselves to regular, all the time society.
Yeah.
And so to be able to open your mind just a little bit from that point, I think it's an incredible book.
I'm honestly surprised we were even allowed to read that book at our high school, but
it
was so good that I am super thankful that we were able to.
Yeah, you know what? That was my senior year. And my senior year was...
I read it my senior year, too.
Mr. Mater was the principal. You know what? That doesn't surprise me. He's the same. He's that type of person. He would... Yeah. I think he would... I like that. So if you could... we started to talk about this question. If you could go back and change one thing...
Yeah.
What would you change?
I think maybe something that I would have changed, in high school, I would have... try to surround myself with more open-minded people and try to let myself be open-minded earlier, in my life, because I had a lot of people around me who were kind of closed-minded, and I kind of thought that was just how things were. And I would have surrounded myself, I think, with more diverse and more open-minded people, because, I talked about this on our Facebook post, even when me and you started dating, I didn't know that racism was, still a big issue. You know what I mean? It was such a shock to me. I remember that you had, had all of these experiences. It was it was 2014. How is this even still an issue?
Yeah.
And I was just ignorant to it. I didn't know because it didn't affect me. So I think I really would have tried to surround myself with more diverse and more open-minded people to be able to kind of see the issues earlier. You know what I mean?
And what do you think would have, I guess, how do you think it would have affected your life to this day? Because I know that you moved up here.
Yeah.
One of the most diverse places in Ohio, I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
But how would it be different today?
Well, it wouldn't have been such a culture shock first when I moved up here. I mean, like you said, Wright State in particular is super, super diverse.
Oh my goodness.
And that's something that I love about it, you know what I mean? But at first I was like, whoa, I didn't even like think about this because I was just ignorant to it because we don't have a lot of diversity back at home.
Yeah.
So I think that really would have kind of taken that culture shock away, and I would have been able to relate more to other people, like more diverse people, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Absolutely.
I didn't really know how to relate to people who weren't like me. So I think that it would have really helped me out. And like to this day, I feel like I could have a lot more diverse relationships if I would have done that earlier.
And I think we all get opened up to, it's weird. Like I don't have, like in high school, all of my friends were just like me.
Yep.
Everybody was just like me. Now, like the majority of
yeah.
the people that I hang out with are like me in a way. Like we have kind of the similar interests,
yeah.
but are totally different people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would have never listened to heavy metal, rock ever. And to be able to actually like jam my head to it. I remember Red when he came up to work out. I was playing my Pandora while we were working out, and I was listening to rock, and he goes, "When did you start listening to rock?" And I was like, "Dude, I have so many different friends now. Like it's crazy. I just got opened up to it."
Yeah.
So
I think that's a big like part of like becoming who you are too, is you get exposed to all kinds of different people. And I mean, I am now too, like especially in the nursing program, I feel like we have a little bit more diversity. I am like exposed to like different kinds of people. And I think that really helps me like on my journey through everything.
Yeah, seeing everything. Being able to show empathy. Trying to put
for
yourself in
everybody.
their shoes.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. So let's switch the gears a little bit. I know we're hitting like 40 minutes or so. This has been awesome.
This is long.
This has been great. No, it's been fantastic.
We both talk a lot.
We do. For those that are in a relationship, right, that are going through college, that are working, just like us, it's been really easy to forget the little things that made the relationship spark because of just having so much going on.
Yeah.
And I think we sit down and talk about that a lot. But I think it's something that we should talk about, while we're on here. So what are some of the things that you think that we've implemented or that we've talked about that's been really important during this crazy time in a relationship when all this stuff is going on that helps each other excel, not only in the relationship, but like in the careers, right?
Yeah.
So, there's those people that are in a relationship, they're really going hard, and it's really easy to just go to work, come home, go to sleep, and, forget the little things.
Yeah.
So what are some things that, people in relationships could be doing?
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I think for sure with us, like we try to have date nights.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, because whenever I'm in school, and it's a lot easier in the summer, but when I'm doing school and I'm doing work, like, and I work like every third weekend or whatever, and the other weekends I'm usually studying. We sometimes don't have a date night for a month or two,
Yep.
But making the time for that, and you're a lot better about that than I am most of the time during school because I just get distracted. Yeah, I mean, like you said, you forget and you just like go with the flow and you try to get through it. But definitely like making time and like setting like we're gonna do this every month or we're gonna do this every week. Like however often you think you can do it, even if it's not something expensive. Like it doesn't have to be going out to dinner and a movie. You can go sit in the park like and just sit there like. Do paintings, like something, have a picnic, something like that. You know what I mean? Quality time, exactly.
Yep.
And then also, like you said, in the career, like just supporting your significant other, I feel like is so important. Like just being able to tell them, like, I'm proud of you, like keep going because you're doing so great, and like being able to show them that that you appreciate them, and then also kind of being a part of that because. I know, like, with you, I try to come up every once in a while and, like, work out with you or we go work out or something, like, and I feel like you really enjoy that. Because,
that's so big.
Yeah.
Keep talking because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? We feel the same way because think about this, right? Like, I remember times, don't get me wrong, I love all the people that you work with.
Yeah.
Right? They're all great people. We went out to dinner together and things like that, but there have been times where I've been exhausted or something, and you've been like, hey, you want to come hang out or you want to come do this?
Yeah.
And I know how important it is to go and show how, supportive I am that, you're around such a group of people because that'll still affect you every day. When you go to work every day, you talk about your at-home life with your close employee, with your close coworkers, and I think it's important to be there, like you said, just be there, actually be a part of it.
Be a part of it, yeah.
Yes, I love that.
And especially like even when like they're coming home and telling you about their day, like we had to kind of figure this out too. Like sometimes
still working on it. I'm still working on it.
Sometimes you don't want advice. Like you don't want them to fix the problem.
Yep.
You just want them to listen and like be there for you.
Be the sponge.
Support you. Exactly.
Soak it
and like don't try to fix things. Don't tell them, well, this is what you should do. Like,
I'm so guilty.
Well, we
I'm
both
so
are.
guilty.
We both are. Like, if you always want to fix something for your significant other. You don't want them to be upset about things. So it's like a natural thing to want to like try to help them and fix it. And I'm guilty of that too. I try to fix everything. Yep. And but sometimes they really do just want you to listen.
Yep.
And just be there. Like that's all you have to do sometimes. And I think it's really important, especially like I was talking about the book, The 5 Love Languages.
Oh,
they talk about this, and it really depends on like how your significant other has been raised and like has grown up, because that affects like how they want to be loved as an adult. And I think it's really important to read that book. Like I've suggested that book to so many people since we started reading it, and I'm not even finished with it yet.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Every day I try to read, I try to listen to it. And it's not that it's, some of it's new information.
Yeah.
More of it's reaffirming information.
Some of it though we didn't know at the beginning, you know what I mean? A lot of it is we finally figured this out 2 years into it when we moved in together, and it would have been a whole lot easier to read this book and just
Dude, that should have been like the we should have read that first and then moved in.
Yep.
But it is what it is.
No, exactly.
It's a great book. It's a great book. So I want to end on one strong, I want to end on the reason why I wanted you on here in the first place. For the women that are going to listen to this, who are just now getting started in their journey, whether it's nursing or whatever, they're about to go through that grind and chasing their dreams to, the next step in life. What is some advice you have for them to help them go through that so-called, what we call every day, just daily grind?
Yeah. So I think like an important part of everybody's journey is learning that not everybody has to accept like what your dream is, like what you want to do. I mean, I have friends in every field.
Yep.
My friend Kat is completely like on her own like journey, and it's completely different than mine, but that's okay.
Yep.
And I support her no matter what. And I told her just the other day, like, I'm so proud of you for going after things, even when they're not like normal for everybody else. So I think that's a big thing, is to make sure that like not everybody's going to accept it, and that's okay. You can still go for your dream, even if it's not what somebody else wants you to do. And like, I mean, that's never really been an issue for me, to be completely honest. I've never had to go through that, but because nursing is such a widely accepted, field, but you have to really understand that not everybody is going to accept it, and that's okay. And, in every field as well, not, like I said, this doesn't really apply to nursing either, but I mean, I've done other things, and in a society that is like male dominated, men are in positions of power and everything, you can still be a strong woman, and you can be a woman in power and be right up there with them. You don't have to like make yourself smaller because of it, or make yourself like, more proper or something just because you want to be able to fit in with that. You can be your whole self and still get by in whatever field you want to do.
My gosh, that is some fire. I love it. That's from the heart.
Yeah.
That's because I'll never, ever, ever be able to truly understand what a woman goes through, because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's so important for us to go back and get a woman's perspective, because women haven't always been respected.
No.
I think we're talking about Black Lives Matter. I think we're talking about things like that. Remember when it was women and actual gender?
Yeah.
We're talking about races right now. It was a whole gender
Yeah.
that was unable to do and wasn't equal And I think to this
and still in some aspects,
it's still to this day.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, exactly what you said, that no matter what, it may not always be accepted, but it is 100%. You can go for it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
And that's for everybody. It's not just, it's not just women.
Yeah, I get
but
it.
I just geared it towards women because it's less common for women to go after something that's unconventional.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, because you have a lot of friends who are, in the entrepreneur business, field, but women are definitely not a strong, position in that sense.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of women doing it.
Yep.
So, you can do that. You can do whatever.
But there are women out there that have done it.
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
have, blown up and are extremely successful.
Exactly. And then just one other thing with the, chasing your next steps and everything. I think that the big portion of it, I know Isaiah talks about this all the time, and I'm going to sound like him for a minute, but having that reason why you're doing it, I think is really, really important. And I know that, like you said, that has gotten me through every hard time, and when I'm staying up late and have to be back up at 6 a.m. for clinicals, that is what keeps me going and what keeps me on track. So I think that really having a reason why, whatever you're doing, if you're passionate about it, you're gonna be able to get through it.
Wow. Wow.
You're proud, right? Because I'm using your talking about your why.
Preach. I love it. Thank you so much for coming and doing this. I know you didn't have to do it, but it has just been awesome to actually sit down in a setting like this and really just be able to talk about stuff like this. We do, but this was awesome. This was really, really cool.
I agree.
I'm definitely going to have this on YouTube. Again, guys, anybody listening to this, if you pick anything up from it, just share it, comment a specific point, a specific marker. This is a long podcast, and it's full of just golden nuggets of a story that has just been remarkable, a journey that is continuously just changing and getting better. So, after listening to this, people know why. This is future Mrs. Gunther for a reason. She's an absolute beast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, just comment, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hopefully I'm going to continue to get great people on here to just share their story and share the nuggets. Thank you guys. Peace out.